At our anniversary dinner, my husband said he regretted our marriage. I walked out, but now he's pleading for forgiveness. I'd spent all week planning this dinner. It was our 5th wedding anniversary, and I wanted it to be perfect, a cozy, intimate evening, just the two of us. Over the past year, I'd sensed a strain between us. Derek had been distant, preoccupied with work, or maybe just preoccupied. I thought maybe an evening to reconnect would help us remember who we were before all the stress, all the routine. I'd hoped it might remind us of why we'd fallen in love. The table was set, the soft glow of candles casting a warm light over everything. I'd made his favorite meal, grilled salmon with lemon butter, mashed potatoes, and asparagus, and even splurged on a bottle of that wine we'd had on our honeymoon. I was nervous as I finished setting the table, but when Derek walked in the door, I forced a smile and greeted him with open arms. He gave me a quick, perfunctory hug and muttered, "You didn't have to go to all this trouble, Claire." I tried to laugh it off. "Oh, come on, it's our anniversary. Besides, we could use a little celebration." He shrugged, taking a seat at the table, his gaze flickering to the wine I'd already poured. "Yeah. Sure." I sat across from him, studying his face. "You don't seem happy," I said softly. "Is something wrong?" Derek let out a sigh, swirling the wine in his glass without looking at me. "It's nothing. Just been a long day." "Well," I said, trying to keep things light, "let's put it all aside for one night. I miss this, just having some time together." He didn't respond right away, just took a sip of his wine, his eyes cast downward. I felt a flicker of frustration, but I pushed it down. "Derek," I tried again, "do you remember when we had this same wine on our honeymoon? It was that little restaurant by the beach." He gave me a small nod, but his expression didn't soften. Instead, he leaned back in his chair, staring at his plate with an unreadable look. After a moment, he looked up, meeting my eyes. "Claire," he said, his tone strained, "I think we need to talk." I froze, my stomach tightening. "About what?" He set his wine glass down, rubbing his temples. "About us." "What do you mean?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "We're fine, Derek. Things have just been hard, but that's normal, isn't it? We'll get through this." He shook his head slowly. "I don't know, Claire. Lately, I've been doing a lot of thinking, and I don't know if this is what I wanted." His words cut through me like a knife. "What are you saying?" He wouldn't look at me, just stared down at the table. "I'm saying that maybe we rushed into this. I don't know if I was ready for marriage, or if this is even what I wanted. Sometimes I think maybe I made a mistake." I stared at him, feeling like the floor was slipping out from under me. A mistake?" My voice cracked as I repeated his words. "After everything we've been through? After 5 years?" Derek shifted in his chair, visibly uncomfortable. "I don't know how to explain it, Claire. It's just, I feel trapped, like I'm not living the life I imagined for myself. And I don't know how to fix that." I felt the tears welling up, but I forced them back. "So, what? You just dropped this on me, at our anniversary dinner of all nights?" He looked at me then, guilt flickering across his face. I didn't mean to bring it up now. I couldn't keep pretending everything's fine." I shook my head, unable to believe what I was hearing. "Pretending? So that's what this has been to you? Pretend?" "It's not that simple, Claire," he replied, frustration lacing his voice. "It's not about you. It's about me, about what I want. And I'm not sure if this is it." I stared at him, the words refusing to come. Finally, I managed to whisper, "If you're not sure, then why did you even marry me in the first place?" He hesitated, then muttered, "Maybe I thought it was the right thing to do. Maybe I thought I'd grow into it, that I'd be happy with this life. But I don't know if I am." I pushed back from the table, standing up as anger surged through me. "So you're saying our entire marriage has been what? An experiment? Something you settled for?" He looked up at me, his face pale. "No, Claire, that's not what I meant. I didn't mean for it to come out like this. I don't want to hurt you, but I also don't want to keep lying to you. I felt the tears I'd been holding back spill over. Well, congratulations, Derek. You succeeded in hurting me. Mission accomplished. My voice was trembling, but I couldn't bring myself to care. I turned and grabbed my purse, my mind made up in an instant. Claire, wait, he started, reaching for my arm. I pulled away, holding my hand up. Don't say another word. I grabbed my coat and walked out, feeling the cold air slap my face as I stepped into the night. My vision blurred with tears, but I didn't stop. I kept walking, as far away from him and from everything we'd built together as I could manage. I spent that night at my best friend Emily's house, crying into her shoulder and questioning everything I'd ever known. Emily, bless her, didn't push me to talk, just trapped me in a blanket and let me break down. Claire, he's an idiot, she said quietly, brushing my hair out of my face. A complete and total idiot. You deserve so much better. I wanted to believe her. But part of me still couldn't understand how it had come to this. How had I missed the signs? Had I been fooling myself all along, trying to make something work that had been broken from the start? For the next few weeks, I stayed with Emily, ignoring Derek's calls, deleting his texts before I could read them. But he didn't give up. He left voicemails, showed up outside her apartment, sent flowers and cards, all with the same desperate message, please, Claire. Let me explain. I didn't mean it like that. I love you. One afternoon, Emily sat down next to me, her face serious. I know you don't want to hear this, but maybe you should talk to him. I stared at her, shocked. Why on earth would I want to talk to him? Because, she said gently, you need answers, Claire. And maybe he owes you that much. So, 2 days later, I agreed to meet Derek at the park near our old apartment. He was there when I arrived, looking haggard, as if he hadn't slept in days. As I approached, he stood up, his face lighting up with something close to hope. Thank you for coming, he said, his voice filled with relief. I crossed my arms, keeping a safe distance. This doesn't mean anything, Derek. I need to understand why. He nodded, swallowing hard. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Claire. I never meant to hurt you. I looked away, focusing on the leaves scattered across the ground. Then why did you say it? If you didn't mean it, why did you ruin everything we had? He sighed, running a hand through his hair. I don't know. I guess I got scared. Things have been overwhelming, and I've been feeling lost, like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. And I took it out on you. Lost? I repeated, my voice cold. You don't get to throw away a marriage because you're having an identity crisis, Derek. He winced, nodding. I know. And you're right. I was wrong, Claire. I was stupid and selfish, and I let my fears control me. But please, just believe me when I say I regret it. I regret everything I said, everything I did to hurt you. I love you, Claire. I don't want to lose you. I stared at him, his face etched with lines of regret I'd never seen before. My anger still simmered just below the surface, but his words had stirred something else too, a flicker of hope, one I didn't entirely trust. I needed answers, and I needed him to be brutally honest with me. I took a deep breath, keeping my voice steady. Then tell me, Derek, I said, my eyes locking onto his. Why? Why did you say those things if you didn't mean them? You didn't just hurt me, you humiliated me, right there, on our anniversary. How could you be so cruel? He let out a long, shaky breath, running a hand over his face. I wish I knew how to explain it, Claire. It sounds hollow to say I was stressed, but that's the truth. I'd been overwhelmed with work, feeling like I was stuck in a life I didn't choose, and instead of dealing with that like an adult, I lashed out at you. I projected everything onto you because I was too ashamed to admit I wasn't happy with myself. And I regret it more than you can imagine. I shook my head, frustration and confusion mixing in my chest. But I was there, Derek. I was right there, willing to help you, to talk things through. Why couldn't you just come to me? Why make me feel like I was the mistake? He closed his eyes, visibly stricken by my words. Because I felt like a failure, Claire. I felt like I was disappointing you, disappointing myself. And I thought if I pushed you away, I could somehow escape it. But instead, I pushed away the only good thing I had. You. I let his words sink in, but they only made my chest ache more. You hurt me, Derek, I said, my voice breaking. You broke me, and I don't know if I can just forget that. He nodded slowly, his expression one of resigned pain. I don't expect you to forget it. I wouldn't, if I were you. But Claire, he leaned forward, desperation coloring his voice, I'm begging you to give me a chance to make things right. Let me show you that I can be the man you deserve. I bit my lip, looking away to hide the tears brimming in my eyes. And what if you can't, Derek? What if, a year from now, you realize you're still unhappy? Do I just go through this all over again? No, Claire, he said, his tone firm. I've spent the past few weeks in a hell of my own making. And in that time, I've realized that I can't find happiness by running from my problems or from you. The life I want. It's with you. Only with you. I just wish I'd realized it before I put you through so much pain. I looked at him, searching his face for any sign that he might still be lying to himself, or to me. But all I saw was a man who seemed to be wrestling with the weight of his own failures. He reached across the table, taking my hands in his. I don't deserve your forgiveness, I know that. But, Claire, I'll spend the rest of my life trying to earn it if you'll let me. I'll do therapy, I'll take time off work, I'll do whatever it takes to be there for you and to work on myself. Just, please don't give up on me. I looked down at our hands, feeling the warmth of his skin against mine, the familiar grip that once made me feel safe. His words were everything I'd wanted to hear, yet there was a part of me that was terrified. Derek, I whispered, looking up at him, if we do this, it's not going to be easy. Trust doesn't just snap back into place. I know, he said quickly, his grip tightening on my hands. I'll work for it, Claire. I'll be there every step of the way, however long it takes. Silence settled over us, thick with all the unspoken emotions I'd held onto since that awful night. And then, I asked the question that had been haunting me since he'd first shattered my heart. Do you really love me, Derek? Or are you just afraid of being alone? His face crumpled, and for a moment, he looked lost. Claire. It's always been you. Even in my worst moments, my darkest thoughts, it was always you I wanted by my side. But I got so wrapped up in my own insecurities that I lost sight of that. I know I don't deserve to say it, but I love you more than I ever realized, and I am so sorry I let my fears cloud that. I swallowed hard, letting his words settle over me. He sounded sincere, but the scars he'd left on my heart were still raw, still aching. After a long pause, I said, then prove it, Derek. Show me that you love me. And not just with words. I need actions. He nodded, a fierce determination in his eyes. I will, Claire. I'll show you every single day if you'll let me. I'll be patient, I'll be open, and I'll be there for you in a way I should have been from the beginning. I nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope begin to break through my walls. I'm not promising anything, Derek. I don't even know if I'll ever be able to trust you the way I used to. I understand, he replied, his voice soft. But I'll be here, Claire. Whatever you need from me, however long it takes, I'll be here. For the first time in weeks, I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Okay, I said slowly, a small part of me opening up to the possibility. But I'm doing this for myself, Derek. Not for you. And the second I feel like I'm compromising myself, I'm gone. He nodded, his gaze steady. That's all I ask, Claire. Just give me a chance to prove that I can be the partner you deserve. A hesitant smile crept onto my face. Then, we'll start slow. Maybe dinner next week. See where things go. I'd love that, he said, a look of relief washing over him. Anything you need, Claire. I'll be here. As I walked away from him that day, I wasn't entirely sure what lay ahead. But I knew I was finally in control of my own happiness. And if Derek was serious about rebuilding, He'd have to prove it to me, every single day.